Welcome back to Strength Cultures Podcast, number one in the hearts, number one in the charts. We are back with another episode with more questions. Thank you very much to the community.
We're loving the questions. Appreciate it.
Plenty of questions rolling through. We've actually had to start to can some questions because we're getting
We've
too
had
many.
to sift through. There's only so much time we have here.
Sifting.
So if you want your question to get ask a good question, and then you'll get back into the top.
That's it.
Just ask a good question.
But we do have one good question. Oh no, we got a few. No, we've got the
only one.
The first good question though is about powerlifting primer days.
Primer days.
I'll be honest, I'm out of the loop of the current fads in powerlifting when it comes to the training process. But I have heard a couple of things. I heard there was some contradictive social media posts from some high-level Australian coaches in the last couple of weeks.
Couple jabs.
And a few young coaches by nature of that being a little confused of what's going on. But powerlifting primers. Can you explain what the general consensus currently is with this, or what are we actually talking about here?
Cool. So I'll preface this by saying I probably don't have the full story, but my assumption, in the words of people who are in favor of primer days, is that it's a way to set yourself up for your high priority day. So it is a lighter day, I think it's like 2 to 3 days before, with the idea that it's just there, not necessarily to like be a stimulus in and of itself. It's more so to improve that main day and maximize performance and output on your main day. And I think the idea here is like predictability and trying to do the same thing that you do in comp. And obviously, you know, with a comp, you do want to perform your best on comp day. So I think from there, it kind of takes a step back of, well, if on, let's say you're competing on a Saturday in 6 weeks from now, if everything is set up to make that comp day ideal, then why not do that every week? Why not have the day where your performance shows up the most? And my first...
Does this fall within SBD days?
Not necessarily, but I think they'd often be used in conjunction, but I don't think they like have to be. Like they can exist separate to
Are we
each other.
talking about, let's say, on a Monday is your heavy competition squat day? You're doing on a Saturday. You're doing like a.
I think it's something like that. Yeah.
And then are you doing that for every lift? So then main bench days, when's it main like?
I'm not sure, but I think potentially.
Because my only argument before hearing anything from you is like, if you are if you've got a high enough frequency already and you're squatting twice a week, deadlifting twice a week, benching 2 to 4 times a week, which we know a lot of powerlifters do, when then do you go and fit in primer days? And is not the other accessory squat day just become the primer day?
I don't think it would be about adding or not to like just disregard what you said, but I don't think it would be about
Charlie, shut up.
I don't think it would be about adding more in. I think it would be maybe about rearranging your training week it all comes down to just making yourself feel prepared for
what feels good.
Yeah, your main days or your primaries, whatever they're calling it. Yeah, like there would be an element of just figuring out what feels good, rearranging it so that you're feeling more prepared for your main squat day, main bench day, main deadlift day, whatever that might be. Like, yes, you could add stuff in, but I think at its core, it's just about preparation.
And
really.
I think I can get around, and to be fair, this isn't something I've thought about at great depth, but I can get around, obviously, arranging your week so that things flow better and things feel better, but I've never programmed something in the thought process of this is going to like set you up for the later day. And like if we think about a hypothetical, like if someone squats twice a week, let's say their heavier squat day is later in the week, if one of my lifters for some reason missed their earlier squat day in the week, obviously over the long term, consistently missing that earlier squat day is bad, but I wouldn't suddenly think because you've missed your lighter squat day that your heavier squat day is going to go bad. I'm like, oh, that's not the best. Try to get it next week, but there's no reason why we still can't have a productive heavy day or priority day. It was, I think a good argument to make with this is there's only so much time to train. There's only so much time to recover. If you're going to get in the gym and get under a barbell, like make it hard training. Like that's generally like where your time should be spent. Like I think it's maybe a niche scenario where someone has enough time to do training that potentially isn't productive even in and of itself. It's just there to make things feel good.
Yeah, it's kind of like trying to put. Yeah,
I would argue that's my head space goes straight to the goal of training is to provide a stimulus to create adaptation, not to prepare you for training's not there to prepare you for training. Does that make sense?
That makes complete sense.
That has to be the number one priority. Like that.
Yeah.
I would love to hear what someone whoever the people you were telling what their pros for it were, but I could also just how many people have we seen get strong over the years without using Primer Day?
Well, I
think that's
I think is it just like, and this is quite often within and it's not just within powerlifting, but everything within our industry, just strength and conditioning in general, is quite often it is something that has always been done. So this might just be viewed as higher frequency training, with one of those frequencies being slightly lower in intensity, to make them feel good, to move the bar quickly. Maybe it could be laid in with this idea of like it's active recovery almost, and I
think that's some of the reasoning.
All of that is. But ultimately, all we're really talking about is a lower intensity exposure, and it's just framed in a new way. It's just being given a new label. It's just being given a new sort of package, so that people can pretend that there's all of these new benefits and there's new strategies that come with it, and all of these new outcomes. Where in reality, it's simply just a new way to describe something that a lot of people have always done, which is high frequency training, and one of those frequencies be a low day.
And it's the way you word it, of course, because like if I have someone benching 3 times a week, it might be like, hey man, your third day is going to be a little bit easier because it's 2 days out from your main day. I don't want you to be too fatigued. Like that's the end of the story. There's no more to it. It's just overall, we don't want every bench day to be as hard as possible because you'll probably feel cooked. Done. Like that's
it might be too hard.
There's no more narrative attached to that. Not to say that they have no point, but that's how I would view it personally.
Talking to JP years ago when I was like, he always used to have a lighter day in there.
Yeah.
Which is probably...
Everyday light day.
So, yeah. Sometimes...
Heavy day, primer day.
Yeah. Just you're reinventing the wheel to
exactly.
make it sound cool.
You're just like relabeling what's going on. And I think Did's kind of brought it up, but I think it's worth noting is that a lot of the time with all of your training, because there's some other questions in there related to like I call them small rock decisions, just things that aren't going to really make a huge impact long term, but they're definitely in consideration, especially when you contextualize it to the individual. But a lot of the times, like the psychological buy-in, so like, yeah, you might reframe, as Didier said, you might reframe your lighter day as a primer day, and in that reframing of it, in that recontextualizing the reason that it's there, it might bring out a new sense of like urgency with it. It might bring out a new sense of intent with it. It might bring out a whole bunch of like new input into the system, changes that actually create a better outcome anyway, even though the actual process didn't change, but just reframing it or thinking about it differently might have a positive flow-on effect. So there's nothing wrong with that. So if you feel that
it primes you.
Yeah, if you feel that it primes you and learning about these ideas around priming is a benefit to you, and it helps you restructure the way you approach that day, and it's like it's no longer just seen as like a low intensity bench session. It's now seen as like, if I execute this well, if I execute my technique well, it means I'm going to have a better day on Thursday. Fantastic. And fucking lean into it.
And if we think about viewing it in this way and the potential benefit, like I think a problem that often happens is lower intensity days often get treated really blasé. Maybe technique's not as dialed in. Maybe load selection isn't as dialed in because like, oh, whatever, it's just an easy day. And one thing I often find myself coming back to is an RPE 6 will be prescribed and people do an RPE 3. It's like, no, like it's easier, but like it doesn't mean it's nothing. And if you think this isn't just an easy day, it's like, oh, it's an easy day with a purpose, it's going to do something for you, then maybe that just gets people to take their lower intensity work more seriously. Which is a good thing.
Yeah, which is a great thing. Because all training should have a purpose. If it's been programmed, it's there for a reason. So,
and I think a lot of people really want to know what the purpose is and really, need to feel like things are there for a reason. And that's fair enough, like, for sure.
Yeah.
Primer days.
I could see the case for it. I wouldn't frame things as a primer day personally, though. That's where I stand.
That's where I stand. Wow. I think there could be reasoning, but I don't think it's just the reasoning we would use. Yep.
Prime training.
Prime training. What ended up happening with him and BT?
They had a podcast.
I saw they had a podcast.
I never listened to it, but I was
Clash
curious. But then I
Generations.
was also like, It's an hour of my time. I wasn't that keen.
I just wanted to see that section where
I
they
can't
talked
really
about
stand BT, so I was like, I'm not listening to that.
Fossil.
Do you listen to anything on your runs?
I have listened to podcasts before, but recently I've just music.
Yeah.
You got the marathon coming up, aren't? How far off?
Next Sunday.
Next Sunday.
This Sunday,
yeah.
the following.
Yeah.
So what's it? 12 days.
How we feeling?
Yeah, good. Did 32K on Sunday.
Is that your big one?
I did 30 the week before, and then I was a bit worried how I was going to fit in with the grand final weekend, and then, but yeah, just stayed. I was sober on Saturday. Made the
decision.
Athlete decision.
Athlete.
Stay hydrated. Primed it.
Primed it.
Primer Saturday.
Yeah, primer Saturdays. Probably didn't eat because I went out. I had an event Friday night. Probably didn't eat enough just in general Friday and Saturday as a whole. You saw me at the pub get the seafood linguine.
The linguine.
7:30 at night.
Yep.
I was like, I got to get some carbs in. But yeah, you definitely, when you start getting into those distances, those little things do.
They add up.
Carbs, not priming you.
Yep.
Definitely primes your performance. But yeah, I did it. And what are we at? So 32 done. The last couple of weeks, I did 52K last week. The last week I did the similar 50, 55. So I've put in a couple 50 plus K weeks, which has been good. Yeah,
ready to go.
Yeah, I'm good enough in a position now where I'll be able to get the thing done. So
no.
You're relying on course nutrition?
I'll use both. I'll have my own stuff and use the stuff for there. I'll carry extra. I did that for the half Ironman too. I carried some extra gels too, just to
as a backup.
Yeah, because the first lot of gels is until a K11 or 12, so I'll probably want to have one before then.
Yeah.
So I'll probably have like 4 of my own and then on course as well.
Smack them.
Smack them.
Fucking oath.
Prime them.
Prime
Prime them.
Get that. Are there any priming sessions in your run peak?
No. I don't believe so.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't believe so.
His
I think,
perspective.
well, you could argue everything's a primer. Isn't
Everything's a
it?
primer.
Anything's priming something.
It all primes
A
something.
taper of any kind of performance is a primer.
Yeah.
It's priming your performance.
Yeah, the more I think about it, I'm off the primer.
You're off it?
Yeah. I'm off the primer terminology.
I'm off it too because I just
Yeah.
want to add one more thing too, is that training isn't necessarily meant to feel good.
And I think this
So
was
you're selling that narrative to people. If you do this, it'll feel better. But what if it doesn't? And that doesn't always mean you're not getting a stimulus.
And I think part of this is a way to try and ensure that training feels ideal on your main day every week. But we would just always take the perspective of it doesn't matter. It's about the big picture. If you are fatigued or you're not primed in 1 week of a block, that literally means nothing. Even though that's hard to emotionally swallow, you need to take the step back and realize it's 1 week. Come back next week and get after it. And that's all there is to it. Like we don't view those week to week fluctuations as anything other than part of the training process. So we're not trying to remove those because we just know that they're part of training.
That's why I don't,
Obviously, different story around specifically comp week, which is obviously why we'll do some form of tapering. It's not like, oh yeah, if you feel shit on comp day, bad luck. Of course, we're going to do things to manage that, and that's what tapering's for. But in the slog of training, it's a slog. That's it.
That's why initially when I heard it, you guys talking about, because again I'm not up to date with any of that social media stuff what's going on in that world at the moment, but that was my initial thought straight away. Was like training is meant to be hard, heavy shit. And some of the weeks where you're getting the biggest, heaviest sessions and you feel the worst. You've had 4, 5, 6 weeks of heavy, hard training. You're feeling fatigued. Everything's hurting and aching and whatnot. And like that was my initial thought, was training's not meant to feel good, especially when you're chasing peak performance in an endeavor.
Yeah, for sure.
If we're talking just general population training 2-3 times a week, like we've discussed in previous weeks, do we need a deload? Do we not need a deload? Different. But if you're chasing big totals,
yeah, if you're really pushing it,
running as well, if you're chasing specific times, any of those where you're really chasing peak performance, it's going to feel shit. Heavy, hard. So that's why, that was my initial thought with the whole priming thing. Is like,
no, I agree with that.
and then are you better off just trying to
Doing
recover
less.
more?
Yeah, just doing slightly less.
But then we just go back to, is it just a light day reframed in a different way?
I think it is. I think that's my take on it. It's probably just a repackage of previously supported ideas.
People just need to learn to let go.
Yeah,
Surrender.
Let go.
surrender.
Surrender to fatigue.
Surrender. The
I'm not
peak,
even joking. You have
peak
to.
week magic. The peak will take care of it. Yeah.
That's it.
I don't know. If you've got another idea about it, though, let us know. Like, we just saw the question this morning, and then I'd seen a couple of small things on Instagram around it. But, if you have some further input out there, if
are we
you're
missing?
listening along,
I really
let us know if
tried
there's
to,
anything.
Ty, final point on that is I gotta just go back to like reactive training. If it works for you,
100%.
do it. If it doesn't, don't do it. Like can be that simple.
Yep.
It is
There's
that
no
simple.
complete right or wrong. Yeah.
Yep.
Mike Teixeira,
Mike Shearer.
reactive training systems.
Goat.
Prime
Box
D's.
jumps into squats.
Bottoms up. Bottoms up, baby.
See, I actually feel there's more utility in that.
What was that? Like
Like power stuff. before.
post-activation potentiation. Yeah, that's a whole...
Bit of pap.
Like that is
Yeah.
directly in the session, exciting the nervous system. There could actually be something.
It's just how you frame it.
What do you mean?
Because I could frame it in the exact same way as we're doing these box jumps so that your squats feel better. But for me, I would just frame it in the way of we're ticking the box of getting something moving fast and getting them feeling good, but also ticking the box of getting them stronger.
Yeah,
Like-
but we're talking about two different things because primer days are done like a couple days
Yeah,
before.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Like you could
Yeah.
just reframe it.
I think the
to
crux is,
whatever.
though, it's just a reframe.
Yeah.
Like, that's all it is. Yeah.
Because like, it's like, for example, like we how often do we get the question like I might give someone like a plank superset with their deadlifts and they'll ask me like, are these going to help improve my deadlifts? And because I don't like to lie to people, I'm like, not necessarily. Like they're there to help you achieve, maybe
Find a position.
get your brace going, find a position. But like at some point, these are just there as an exercise. And like,
Yeah.
if you, once again, I'm not going to lie to people, if you stopped doing those planks at some point, I don't think your deadlift would go backwards. Is it good to train your abs? Yeah, but like, it's not like, 100% man, if you don't do these, it's like, no, that's not the case. Like, we've got to be honest about things. That's always my bias too.
It's worth dying on the hill of I don't like lying to people, though. That's good. That's a good hill to die on.
I'll die on it.
Yeah.
die on it.
I'll die on it with you. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Primer day. Ticked.
Primer day, done. So our next question was around plateaus. What to do when you feel like you're stuck with a certain lift, you just can't move, nothing's working.
Primer days, baby. Chuck it in.
You heard of primer
Primer
days?
days. Try
About 2 or
harder.
3 days prior, what you're going to do is you're going to bring in another exposure.
That's not really hard
It's
enough
not going
to
to be
drive any stimulus.
It's going to be framed as a bit more of a recovery.
Prime you.
It's going to prime you for your main day.
Prime.
Plateau buster. Busted.
I think
Myth busted.
I think the biggest thing with plateaus, and this is probably a worthwhile conversation because we love semantics. When is a plateau a plateau? Because I think most of the time when someone tells me they feel like they're plateauing, they're not. They're just training and they haven't PB'd for a little while and they're just repeating loads for a few weeks and that feels like a plateau. I've probably never sat down and thought, at what point do we define, yeah, man, you are plateauing. We need to change something. Do we go 12 weeks?
Yeah, I was
maybe?
going to say a couple blocks.
Couple blocks, because a block is just not enough. I think like if you haven't seen like any progress on a certain lift in 12 weeks, okay, maybe 8, 10, we're starting to think about it, but definitely I think 12 weeks.
I think it has to be more than one block.
yeah.
For sure. One
Yeah.
block is way too short.
So to start all this, if it's been less than 6 weeks, you haven't plateaued.
You haven't plateaued.
So stop asking this question.
And I would almost say that there has to be. Maybe you've tried a couple of things.
That's to be a bit of a checklist.
Like there has to, like you can't just be like, oh, I didn't progress this block, but it's like, yeah, but we haven't tried anything else. Like you've just tried one thing, you ran one experiment. So that would be my criteria: is that it's a couple of blocks and you've tried a couple of things.
Yeah.
So that those attempts might be you've tried a slightly higher intensity expression, maybe you tried some prime days, maybe you tried a slight volume
working.
adjustment, maybe tried a different variation. Like I think you'd have to have tried a couple of things. People that are within a current block and they're in week 3 and week 4 and they've just repeated the same top set for 2 or 3 weeks in a row. That's like there's no chance I'm viewing that as a plateau.
No.
That is just that we are training and let's keep going.
And of course, I think we need to start to tick off. Are you training consistently? Are you training hard enough? How's nutrition looking? How's recovery looking? Obviously, those things don't need to be perfect. But if your sleep is terrible and your eating's all over the shop, okay, we don't need to worry about the training. There's probably some bigger, fish to fry. But provided lifestyle factors are fairly good and your training's pretty consistent, that's when we can start to think about, all right, is it actually the training that's just hitting a wall in and of itself?
Yeah. So let's assume that those boxes are ticked.
Assuming those are ticked.
Those things are at 80%. They're good enough.
Yeah.
What is the process to improve somebody that potentially has felt they've hit a plateau?
I think we have to go back to Greg Knuckles.
Yep. Go through. Run the algorithm.
What's the algorithm, James?
I don't know what the algorithm.
Okay, so the algorithm is, if you're not making progress, which one might call a plateau, if you feel like shit, do less. If you feel fresh, do more. And like we said, it sounds tongue in cheek, but that's genuinely how we would go about things.
Would recommend it.
And I really think if that's a massive part of it. And then I guess perhaps something that needs to be added to that checklist of things before we get to this point is, how's your technique? Like, is it consistent? Is it sound? Are you 80% of the way there in terms of what we deem good technique? Of course, that needs to be there. But once again, providing that's the case, it's probably going to be a case of tinkering the program just a little bit up or down to allow for more productive training and something that actually gives us a bit of a run. And then probably something else is just, do you just need to change things up? Have you been rinsing a certain setup, a certain rep range, a certain variation for too long to where we just need variation, and that's going to give us a path to leading out of this period?
That's the important thing, though, is like you've rinsed it. You've absolutely rinsed it.
Yeah.
You're not just changing things up
Just
to change them up and be like, this isn't working anymore. I've had enough of it. I'm going to throw a tantrum. Let's try something else. Like, for me, I'm a big data guy. So data. If I can see that, okay, across big data guy. If I can see if across a block or two blocks, you've really just been chipping away at this, and it's kind of just, I don't even want to use the term, but like simmering out. It's just
plateau.
Yeah, it's
just use the term.
P word.
I don't think anybody actually plateaus. That's the thing. Yeah, like if it gets to that point, then yeah, look at changing it up. But like I've got a client right now that is, he just wants to push his bench, and I think he's just itching to put more and more and more on. But like, you just got to respect the weight on the bar. Like, it's just because you put more on doesn't mean that it's
can't force
you
it.
Can't force it. Yeah. What
is
it?
Facilitate.
Facilitate, don't annihilate. Exactly.
There's that, but there's also, you can't force adaptation. You can only facilitate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how I explained it to him was, bench is something that just is slower moving generally for most people across the three. So enjoy just chipping away at it, but also we've only really, he's newly on my coaching team, and we've only really hit some, I would say, productive training over the last 3 weeks. So of the 6 week intro block that he's done, half of that has been like training where I'm convinced and he's convinced that things are moving. Like, we see things are moving, and now they've hit a spot where they've stopped moving, and he's clearly just hit a point in his training where he's training hard, he's recovering, he's able to repeat everything week in, week out. But for him, seeing that rapid progression from weeks 1 to 6, it's like, oh, why is it just suddenly stopped?
Yeah,
But
it's not the same.
no, it's not the same. Yeah.
And I think it's really important to accurately assess, have I hit a plateau or not? Because if you haven't hit a plateau, but you actually think you have, you will then go start changing things, start trying new things, start abandoning things that actually are working for you because you think the grass is greener. So if you actually have hit a plateau, you need to change something, that's fine. But don't change things if things are working, and just stay the course, and chances are, keep at it, you'll see the progress you're looking for.
Yeah. Let's go back to the Greg Knuckles algorithm, though. So you're not making progress. Are you recovering well? If you are, add more. What does adding more look like?
I'd say generally what we're talking about is hard sets. So that could either be via just more volume on the days you already have, or potentially adding more days. I think that's generally how we'd frame that.
Yeah. And then obviously the alternative, that if you're not making progress but you feel like shit, you're not recovering, do less. That would then just be the opposite.
Yeah.
Pulling some sets out, maybe reducing a frequency a little bit.
Yeah. And I think like a typical one we'd often hit is maybe someone newer to lifting can tolerate 2 deadlift days, but as they continue to progress, we find that becomes too much, which is fairly common. We will find that on one day we'll actually make better progress because we'll just be recovering better, or instead of dropping from 2 days to 1, it might be a hard day to a significantly easier day.
And there's your primer.
And there's your primer.
And there's your primer.
And we're back on primers. But yeah, but just because that's less. And I guess less could also mean less intensity, but I'd say the first place we probably look to is volume.
Yeah, I think volume, but in those
these
situations are probably a bigger driver.
This might be an absolute tangent, but
Let's go.
We love them.
Talking about 2 deadlift days in a block. Recently, I don't know why, but the thought came into my head, or the bias of I would never program someone 2 deadlifts in a block popped into my head. I've got Andrew doing that, and we've tinkered around with him being able to tolerate that, but that bias in my head of that's just not the first thing that would pop into my head.
Never say never.
Yeah, exactly, right. And so
Why would it not? Why is that not something? Yeah.
I think it's because I've heard anecdotally from people that it's really tough to push 2 exposures of deadlifts, especially if you're training very hard. It's one of those lifts that feels very fatiguing.
Brings a lot of fatigue with it.
Yeah. And so I just did my little deep dive into the interwebs, through Reddit, through through scholarly articles and AI. Granted, I might not be able to, digest a scholarly article as well as other people, but for the most part, the general consensus was that it's not like depleting in a way of like nervous system fatigue or central nervous system fatigue, which I think a lot of people believe.
There's a huge misconception with that.
Yeah. And it's
across the board with strength training.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's just it's a case of it's perceived difficulty, which is what we preach, what we live by, what we coach by. But it was just interesting to see that.
And the hill will die on.
Yeah. Where I've heard something from someone anecdotally, and then I've just absorbed that without taking that.
People
further.
say things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and then navigating through that with Andrew, who we're I'm getting him to do 2 deadlifts in a block. He just wants to do it. And I said to him, it might be a case where we have to tinker things around and be reactive with it. But for the most part, he's just been able to coast through. He's PBing lifts, it's
no dramas. Yeah, I think the biggest thing with deadlifts is that they are just the heaviest lift.
Yeah,
I think that's the biggest caveat to the whole thing. They are the heaviest lift, so that by nature means that there has to be a greater psychological input into the training. There has to be a different approach to it. Obviously, it's going to bring different fatigue sort of outcomes as a result of that. But most people, it is simply you have to run the experiment. Try twice a week, see how you go. Can you recover from them? If you can't, or if you feel like you're not recovering from them, pull one of the days as a lighter day, a technical exposure, something that's a little bit easier, and then keep one of the days as a high day. And that's just your typical high and low day, aka a primer day in today's new algorithm or new terminology, but it's just a high day and a low day. It's not that, and it's the same with everything. It's not that if you do 3 squat sessions a week, all of them have to be hard and heavy. One of them can be a technical focus that has some tempos, that has some specific constraints to reduce the amount of load that's used, or a different setup that takes pressure off the low back or the shoulders or whatever it needs to be. Like, it's just managing the overall training volume. There's no right or wrong with any of it. A huge anecdote within deadlift specifically, this comes from like Seb Oreb, who arguably trains and coaches the strongest people in the world. I think we chatted about this a couple of weeks ago. He's like, eventually with his guys, it gets to, there's a high week and a low week because of the deadlift fatigue that comes from it. Yeah.
Yeah, he gets them doing just the main lift and then just like maybe one accessory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's really not that much training on that day. Yeah. The central nervous system fatigue thing is a huge misconception. And it's just like it's just parroted within, especially powerlifting, is that, I feel CNS fried. I'm CNS fried. I feel tired all the time and all of that. Where like technically that's not central nervous system fatigue. Central nervous system fatigue is generated more so from like higher rep work, heaps of contractions and cardio based things are generally more centrally fatiguing than just lifting heavy loads. What most people feel when they lift heavy loads for a period of time, i.e. a peak or whatever, is literally peripheral fatigue, which
So
is
people
like,
need to start saying my PNS is fried.
yeah, my PNS is right.
Say PNS 10 times in a row.
Yeah, my muscles
PNS.
my muscles are actually sore. My joints are sore. My connective tissue is
erectors
sore.
are cooked.
Yeah, like that is not central nervous system fatigue. It's a complete misconception that is, again, it just people just parrot things and. It's not good or bad. Like, it doesn't really... But
it's technically
yeah,
wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There are some specifics in there that can
matter.
be helpful when reframing things to people.
Another one was tears in the muscle.
Micro tears. Yeah.
For the longest
Muscle
time,
damage.
that's been the terminology, and deep diving into that, and actually, it's a disruption to just the environment there that it just signals, hey, you need to repair this and make sure that we're prepared for next time to be stronger, to do the task, to be more resilient to it.
Yeah, that came from Brad Schoenfeld. It's like mid 2000s. I want to say like 2005, 2008, somewhere in there. There was an article that came up related to like the 3 mechanisms of hypertrophy, and one of them was mechanical tension, one of them was metabolic stress, and then the other one was muscle damage. So muscle damage is like the idea that as you're training, the muscle itself is creating like micro trauma, micro tears, and in the process of rebuilding that is the process that would create a hypertrophied muscle. It's kind of been challenged a lot and kind of fallen by the wayside. Like, yeah, you might actually be creating muscle damage, but it's definitely not one of the triggers that we should be looking for, because it obviously takes longer to recover, which means we are further away within our stimulus and all of that sort of stuff, or our stimulus triggers are further apart because we've got to let the recovery happen. And so it's definitely been updated in the last, I'd say like 20 years. It's probably been challenged a lot, to the point where even metabolic stress has been challenged as well, and mechanical tension just seems to be the overarching sort of stimulus for hypertrophy. Yeah, been a lot of changes in the last 20 years, and there'll be more and more changes coming. Yeah,
considerations for my bodybuilding arc.
Yeah,
Crazy.
Big training.
No,
big data guy.
Yeah, guy.
Nice. So plateaus, do more, do less. Yep. Answered. Busted.
Myth busted.
What was the last one? Genetics.
So we had 2 questions that kind of go somewhat hand in hand, and we're gonna gel them. So the first one was, how do genetics and leverages play an impact on how far you can go in powerlifting? The second one was, should tested federations allow TRT with some form of some form of rules or parameters around it? And I think, they blend into each other, because ultimately, here's the thing. I think the argument would be that if you genuinely like have true low testosterone and you're only using TRT for health reasons and like
there's a medical benefit.
It's a medical benefit.
A medical
and
reason.
You're not getting to these crazy levels that you would never otherwise be at. You're just getting to a healthy level. Are you really on something? But then Charlie raised a good point that there's many other conditions or genetic factors that you might have that are unfortunately a downside to you in any sport you play, and you can't do things to make up for that. That's just the nature of sport. It's you
snooze, you lose.
It's just how it is. Yeah.
No, yeah, I don't see.
Because what was the example you used before?
I used it with the thalassemia minor.
You got that Greek blood, sleepy blood.
This is for endurance sport, but hemoglobin, oxygen carrying capacity is lower. It's like you could do blood doping, blood transfusions, all that shit.
But that's not allowed. Yeah.
But at what point then? Like, I don't see it as poor me. I should be able to have more tests. So I'm like, that's just the cards you were dealt. Play.
If you want to compete, yeah.
If you want to do it, but like, yeah.
Because I also know people can plummet their test
purposely.
So then
Warm your.
it just
It opens up a difficult conversation.
It's opening up a big can of worms.
You say warm your nuts? Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
well,
the one. Yeah.
doesn't icing your nuts increase it?
There's a way
According
to
to Dan Sterling,
you can anyway. I just don't. It will never happen.
I don't know.
Just get no sleep and then go get your
it gets to a
THC.
point where, like, I don't know if blood testing becomes so readily, like, you know how like there's the pinprick idea with like glucose testing and stuff. Like, do you think they would just get to a point where you could just test someone's blood in the same way as taking a urine sample? Because like I don't think you can test testosterone through urine. Like, I think it is just a blood thing. I don't know.
It's
We need a health optimizer here to confirm or deny that. But like, how do you even test that? If people are on TRT seems to be this fucking huge growing thing though across the board. Like, I just feel like so many people are on it now, and like I know a couple of years ago
Australia or America?
just everywhere. Like, I feel like a couple of years ago we were like joking like, oh, it's just people saying that they're on TRT, but they're really just doing fucking steroids. Which is the thing. I'm sure there is a conglomerate of people or a group of people that fall in that camp. Like, they just don't want to dive into trend, so they just do some TRT. But there is this whole other side of it that seemingly sounds like a conspiracy, but seemingly human lifestyle currently is not that supportive of hormonal health.
Yep.
And there seems to be a bit of a drop that has happened. I don't know how conspiratory we want to get with that, but I don't know. I just see this TRT thing growing more and more so.
And yeah, I think the probably knee-jerk reaction a couple of years ago was like, oh, I remember we were obviously always half joking here, but it was like, oh, it's just guys who want to do gear who are saying it's TRT, which once again, I know for a fact that is still a thing. But there's definitely is like plenty of people, and I've talked to people firsthand who like definitely aren't these behemoths who've put on like
it's not their
heaps
intention,
of size, but they truly believe it's like life changing. Like
so
going
many
from,
people
like, clinically low tests to like just a normal amount that's nothing crazy, just confidence, energy, mood, all these things. Just like the obviously probably going to be in better shape too, but that's like not even.
It's just a byproduct of a better life.
Yeah. Which is and
then how does that fit in? Yeah, I don't know. It is a blur.
Because I guess it would probably get to the point, presumably, where there's just a growing percentage of people who then would be not able to legally or officially compete in a tested federation of any sport, which is, I guess that's a thing. But yeah. It's an
Do you
interesting
open
one.
up a low test federation?
But then does testosterone become the
Your low test, you
Why
go
the
compete over there.
I'm going to assume that people that are doing this don't really want to make it public knowledge.
Oh, I don't know. You'd vary though. Some people are open about it. Like
Some people are.
jump in a low test fed.
Oh, no, not a low test fair. No. I get
Like instead of at weight classes, it's like test level classes.
Some
like I'm
people
sub 400.
People are choosing if they're sharing if they're an influencer or whatever, and they're choosing to share that. That's their choice. Someone who's spoken to you personally has obviously trusted you enough to tell you, but people aren't just going to jump in a low test
Low
fit
test,
I get that. I get
and
that.
be like,
I'm in a sub 300.
I'm a low test lifter.
I'm going to instead of going to a weight cut, you're going to test cut and tank your test for 6 months and go down the weight. Yeah, I don't know. It is a blurry.
And obviously the cynical side of it is do people then start like taking advantage of that and like and obviously I don't think
I feel like the only way you can do it is you have to test like you have to like in the same way you would just test for tren, clan, whatever, all the fucking plethora. I saw BPC 157's now banned.
Well, there you go. I'm not sure exactly how these things work.
I think
but
that was banned.
I think they had to make like a full statement for it. I think WADA came out again. I saw a thing on WADA and it was like BPC 157. Like maybe they had to come out.
I was under the impression it was always banned.
Maybe I just made that clear. But I don't think it's actually the testosterone. If you're someone who's not at these crazy doses to put you way out of the normal range, it's not the testosterone that would get you popped. It's like the other things that are in the vial or whatever that solution is. I'm clearly showing my lack of understanding, but whatever else shows up on the test that isn't testosterone, they can test and be like, oh, your test isn't crazy, but clearly you're on something because there's something else in your bloodstream.
Oh, there's all the other markers.
Yeah, the other markers that would be elevated. So that's how they get it. That's how they get you.
That's how they get you.
It's not the testosterone level that would
Yeah.
pop you because they don't have these crazy testosterone
And you would just be in the healthy range.
You'd be in a healthy range,
if you were low test and then just moved up to
I
healthy
feel
range,
like there would be people who would just go a week without sleeping and do all the other things that plumb your
I'll
test.
tell you what would
low
be
test, bang, get onto our test.
interesting, and I'm sure that it's probably has been studied, is how tightly correlated just testosterone levels are with high performance of strength. Like if you were to do the IPF Worlds and got every single competitor, male and female, and like how closely related is testosterone as a hormone to the gold medalist, silver medalist? Like how I'm sure there would be a study out there that has that.
That would be interesting to know.
But then the other part of that is like the testosterone has the potential to change your attitude, change all of those things. So yeah, I don't know. I think that line's going to keep getting more blurry though. I don't see a world where it's not.
Yeah, I think so.
Just in general, that whole who's natural, who's not natural is just going to get real fucking blurry. Maybe it's time to just open them up. When the fuck is that untested games?
I think it's this year or next year.
I have no idea.
Let's fact check that. But we did have another question around. The other part of that question was just what are the genetic factors that result in someone going far in powerlifting, leverages? Like, what are the? No, that wasn't the question. The question was how big of a role do they play? And I think the easy answer there is quite a lot.
Fucking ginormous.
With any sport, I think
Everything.
it's with any sport.
Ginormous.
It is just such a big factor. Like it's hard
just
to
like-
quantify. Like
Yeah, the whole thing is fucking genetic factors. Like Michael Phelps is always going to be the best swimmer. His fucking wingspan was massive. He had the biggest hands, the biggest feet. Like no matter how good his someone could optimize their technique and everything, and their
doesn't
train.
matter.
And then he dives in the pool.
Never going to beat Michael Phelps.
Yeah,
Michael Phelps rolls off fucking.
Usain Bolt, who didn't even have the was it the optimal running technique?
Yeah,
Yeah.
legs
Or even
most
in
of
like-
them. Everyone gets
or
His
even in
legs
like
used to flick out or some shit.
you see those photos of like Arnold at 16 or Kai Green at 18, and they already look like they've pumped gear for 20 years, and they're literally like natural. Like it's insane. Like there's just some outliers. It's crazy.
I know we've already brought up Greg Knuckles, but there's another Greg Knuckles article, which is what are the determinants of strength, if anyone is still in this at 48 minutes through. But there's an article that he goes through, and he creates like this little like graph around what are all of the qualities that will determine somebody's strength expression. And he then like separates them into controllable factors and non-controllable factors. So controllable factors are trainable factors. There's only 3 of them. You have the size of the muscle, you have the ability for the brain to contract muscle fiber, which is called neuromuscular efficiency, and then you have skill. So size of a muscle, central nervous system input, and then skill as the trainable qualities, the modifiable, controllable qualities of strength development long term. The uncontrollable qualities is basically an endless list of things related to the archetype of your muscle, the thickness and stiffness of tendons, the insertion points on bones, the type of muscle architecture in terms of like the twitch, fast twitch and slow twitch. There's like psychological things related to like risk taking and things like that is all contribute. Like a lot of these things, they would all fall under the genetic sort of.
That's with every
and that would be absolutely every endeavor physically,
specifically when we're talking about measuring one specific quality. So I'm thinking
a very objective.
swim speed, swim endurance, run speed, run endurance. All your field sports, shot put, javelin, where you're measuring one thing. It's like
Objective
you
stuff.
can only improve technique, neuromuscular control so much before it's just what are the factors that actually make this person good at this endeavor.
Yeah.
Usain Bolt.
Yeah. So
Will there ever be another? Probably not.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Gack
There probably
out.
will at one point. Gack out.
Shout out
There probably
Gack
will
out.
at one point, and he'll be a genetic freak.
I loved his little at the sprint, halftime sprint.
Because he's like, I look at the 10 people that roll up to the start line. They just had the world championships. Are any of them working any less harder than one another?
Yeah.
Probably not.
yeah.
Well, Noah Lyles will tell you he's working harder than everyone.
They're professional athletes. So they're probably all,
Yeah, they've
but
all been doing it for 20 years.
They've all milked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it comes down to those little.
Genetic. Yeah.
It's genetics.
It's
Yeah.
huge.
It's a massive factor.
It's fucking ginormous. Not to say that you can't get stronger and all of those sort of things. It's just like at some point, At some point, Russell Laurie is going to walk in the door and he's going to
Run your own race.
Well, it's interesting you said that though, because they actually interviewed Usain Bolt and asked him about gout.
What did he say?
And he said, "Oh, brilliant runner, yada yada yada. If he wants to go further and have a long career, he needs to have a good group of people. Yeah, primer days. He needs to have a good group of people around him and good trainers. That they were the determinants that he
identified.
Yeah, that
his
was going to
environment.
get him further.
Yeah.
So clearly I'm assuming he may assume that gout is pretty much
Matt.
close to peaked. Yeah.
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 Still only 17 though.
Yeah.
Do you reckon?
But like,
you reckon
how much faster can he get?
We'll find out.
Yeah.
well,
I don't know.
This is
I
where
think
his hormones haven't even, like I've got knowing very little around this, but his hormones haven't even
I
reached.
think peak speed is normally like 24.
That's what I mean. I still feel like he's way off.
Yeah.
Well, then that will be insane.
He's going to be the
watch him,
fastest Australian ever. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Again, another genetic factor. All the runners we can from like African genetics.
Yeah.
Like you just genetics is a huge component.
Massive.
The pool's the only one because the pool is an affluent sport because you need pools and countries that are first world have pools. So whereas running there's other factors like swimming. You're just never gonna. You need F1's another one.
It'll be
you need
interesting
access to it all.
You need money.
As people of African descent spend like more generations in countries that have more access to pools, like do they just start popping more in the pool? Like, because obviously if you're maybe first gen, maybe you're not as culturally exposed to it, but if you've been here like 3 generations, you are of African descent, you started swimming at the age of 5 like the rest of us, like what happens if Gout was in the pool? Like, does he just pick up?
Get the flippers out.
Get the flippers out. Back to the enhanced games, May 2026. We haven't missed it.
All right.
Next year.
2026.
Yeah.
I feel like this thing's been talked about for like 5 years.
I feel like it's going to
Yeah.
be shit.
I feel like it's definitely going to be shit. I reckon they'll break like 2 records by 0.1 of a second.
You're taking athletes that are fucking
Past their prime.
5-10 years past their prime. Like
Yeah, you need some mid-20s guys to just...
it's
Yeah.
like Magnussen was fucking
He's fucking ginormous.
12 years ago.
though.
He was at the, you know what I mean?
He looks jacked as. I've actually got a question about racing, Charles. You might know.
Racing what?
F1 racing.
What
What is Verstappen doing?
I've been out of the loop. I'm not actually sure. What's he doing?
He's racing some other circuit. I need to speak to someone
I've
that
got no idea.
understands F1.
I haven't really been following the F1. I know Piastri's doing well though.
Yeah.
How's he going?
Brighton boy.
Again, yep.
Crazy.
Affluent.
Affluent. Yeah, the F1 is an affluent
F1,
sport.
it's
Horse riding,
Affluent sports.
snow skiing.
You don't like middle class people aren't getting into F1.
Yeah. I don't even. How the fuck do you even get into F1?
Who gets into F1
go-karting.
ever?
Through go-karting.
Go-karting.
There you go.
Go-karting.
Is it
Go-karting, yeah.
That makes sense.
Which is an expensive sport.
Le Mans?
Yeah. Oh, anyway, apparently Max is he's doing like a side quest mid F1 season, and he just won a GT3 like enduro race, like just entered some other professional sport and beat them all. Like, yeah,
I've got a good one for you. For all your thoughts on it. Genetic factors in golf. Because golf, I would argue, they say what golf's played between the years.
yeah, definitely.
So
Wait. Oh, between the
how
ears,
much
okay,
is genetic factors in golf? I would say it's less, a lot less.
I think there's still like an underlying physical quality that is expressed though. I would say that it is technically less because it is such a skill-based sport, and skill is one thing that you can develop.
And control.
But I think that there are going to just be a subgroup of people that pick up the skill easier, that can generate more power. They're more fluid. They're able to tolerate the swing speeds better. Like, I think there'd still be a huge genetic factor. But I think because it falls into the category of it's more of a skill-based sport, it opens up the pool significantly larger.
You can work at it.
Like surely something like darts, like is like vision and like eye precision something that like
They're all half pissed when they're playing.
I think we're Jamie, we can classify sports that are heavily more skill orientated can be more influenced than sprinting,
Purely objective sports.
which are like sprinting, long distance running, powerlifting.
is anything more just like purely skill based than like darts? Because like obviously with golf, there's some like strength and power to like swing it pretty far.
Golf's one I can think
It's just
of.
this. It's just like
Well,
it's
a lot
just
of
aim.
field-based sports
Yeah.
have a heavily skill and gameplay, which again can be improved and worked on.
Yeah. Skill.
It's the single quality sports.
It's the objective ones.
Yeah. Where you're chasing time.
Yeah.
Nice. Alrighty. Let us know your thoughts. Thank you very much.
I don't think TRT will ever fucking...
That one?
Sorry to the TRT community.
I just don't see it ever happening.
Well, yeah. I don't know. I just think that whole thing's going to get more and more blurry, especially at the lower level ranks.
Because they literally just say to you, "Oh, you tested good. There's a Fed for you already."
Yeah.
It's called not
Yeah, but
untested.
the thing is though, that is only the case in powerlifting. Like all these other local sports don't have untested feds.
Do they even test at local footy?
One thing, no, they don't. So that's a problem. But like, that's the problem as well.
Did you ever get tested? Nah.
Yeah, footy.
Playing footy.
Not a
I
chance.
saw that goal on the third quarter. We need to test you. Alrighty, thank you very much. We'll wrap it up there. All the links down below. If you need something with coaching, want to come down and check that gym out. We also have the Novice Comp coming up in a couple of months. All the relevant links down below. We will see you next week.
Cheers later.